Sorry.
If it was inside.
And then when you put it on the cell phone, it shows it in. It's not. You going now?
Yes.
السلام عليكم. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. ما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. أجرنا وإياكم من النار. أما بعد, my dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, for sure what's been going on for the past almost 2 months to our brothers and sisters in Gaza and Palestine is something that our hearts ache for. And what's different maybe this time, this is the suffering is not new, it's intensified. But what's different is maybe the world is starting to take notice, right? And undoubtedly, as Muslims, we have a role to educate our fellow human beings about the injustices that have been occurring for decades and decades to human beings. Of course, there are brothers and sisters, but these are human beings that have been deprived, that have been taken, the basic human rights have been taken away, their homes, their livelihood, their food, everything has been taken away, slowly, and it continues to be. So the world is waking up, and we ache for this, and that's a very important role for us to educate people about this. But as Muslims as well, we have a double injury. We hurt twice, we ache twice, right? Because not only are these our brothers and sisters in Islam, but also we ache for the Holy Land, the Masjid al-Aqsa, right? The significance of the Masjid al-Aqsa in our lives, in our history, and Islam is important. And we have a duty and an obligation as Muslims to educate ourselves and to keep it front and foremost in front of us, right? Because otherwise, this is what the Zionists and this is what us to do, is to forget that significance, and it becomes just an issue about land. And they say, well, this land is like that land, what's the difference? Right? So of course, that's important, right? This is the rightful land of the people of Palestine there, but this was all the Muslim Ummah, right? This is all under the Khilafah. This was land that as Muslims we didn't prevent other people from worshiping in and arriving to, but it is holy for us. And any talk about the significance of Masjid al-Aqsa maybe can revolve around or start from a very significant event in our history. This is the event of Al-Isra wal-Mi'raj. The Isra and Mi'raj of the Prophet ﷺ. The Isra being the night journey, where the Prophet ﷺ traveled from Mecca to Quds, and then the Mi'raj, the ascension into the heavens. And I wanted to spend a little bit of time on this today to look at it from a different perspective. Because maybe perhaps as Muslims we have turned this into just kind of a day of, when the day, and even the date when it actually occurred, by the way, the date is debatable. But within the Ummah there's been this, let's say, tendency or habit that we specify a day for the Isra and Mi'raj, and on that day maybe listen to some anasheed or something, or do things. And I'll talk a little bit about that. But then we've lost the significance of understanding this event and what it signifies as Muslims. And this is crucial, right, to our understanding and giving Al-Aqsa its significance as well. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells the story in the beginning of Surah Al-Isra, and he starts by saying, Subhana alladhi asra bi'abdihi laylan من المسجد الحرام إلى المسجد الأقصى الذي باركنا حوله نريه من آياتنا إنه هو السميع البصير. Allah says that, subhanahu, glorified he be, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who brought, or Asra, took the night journey, or made him travel on the night journey. Who is this person he's speaking of? Abidu, his slave. Allah's talking about the Prophet ﷺ in the highest status, or the highest honor, but he's using the word abd, slave. It's not a coincidence, or it's not even like a dichotomy or something that conflicts. We as Muslims know that our highest honor is to be the true slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's when Allah grants us victory. That's when Allah does these amazing things. فَبِعَبْدِهِ مِنَ الْمَسْجِدِ الْحَرَامِ إِلَى الْمَسْجِدِ الْأَقْصَى. From the Masjid al-Haram in Mecca to al-Masjid al-Aqsa. And Allah says, الَّذِي بَارَكْنَا حَوْلَهُ. We have blessed its surroundings. We have blessed that land. We have blessed that area. This is by the choice of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah has blessed that. And as we'll see, it was blessed because it is blessed by Allah, it is a right of those who worship Allah. It is blessed for those who follow the prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which were one time the followers of Musa alayhi salam. And then another time were the followers of Isa alayhi salam. And after the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, it is the followers of Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. There is no if and or buts about it. This is the reality. Inna huwa as-sami'ul basir. So that when we show him, from our ayat, our signs, Allah is indeed the most sami', He hears all and the seer of all things. So, again, Allah is honoring the Prophet ﷺ with this laqab bi'abdihi. And this was a time of difficulty for the Prophet ﷺ. Just like we're going through, Ummah is going through a very difficult time now, and what's happening to our brothers and sisters there is unfathomable. At that time, the Quraysh were persecuting the Muslimin as well. The Prophet, this was the am of huzn, sadness, because his protectors were gone. Khadija radiallahu anha, his emotional support, his sanad, his wall that he could support, that supported him and could always fall back to him, passed away. Abu Talib, who protected him from the persecution and injustice, passed away. So it almost felt like at that time, the protectors of the Prophet and Islam were fading away, were being taken away. There was a feeling of weakness and isolation, just like we might feel today. But again, we as Muslims, we know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give us that victory. And Allah gave this example to the Prophet ﷺ and gave him his honor. And where are those people that persecuted the Prophet back then? Where is Abu Lahab? Where is he? Where is Abu Jahl? They had their moments, and at the time they were the unjust persecutors. And nothing. History doesn't remember them for anything, and they were defeated. So the Prophet ﷺ, now there's a lot of hadith, we're just going to skip very, very quick events just to kind of focus on the importance of lessons. But as the Prophet, was ascending in the heavens, we want to focus on this part. As he ascended through the 7 heavens. And there's something very symbolic here that's happened. As the Prophet ﷺ ascended through each heaven, through the 7 heavens, he met or was greeted by the Prophet. In the first heaven, Adam ﷺ greets the Prophet ﷺ, and he greets him and says, Marhaban bil ibn as-salih wa nabi as-salih. Welcome, O righteous son and righteous Nabi. Almost like a passing of the torch. Or expectation. When you're expecting a guest and all these, and they finally come. And then the Prophet ﷺ sends with Jibreel to the 2nd heaven, and then he meets Isa, Yahya, and he greets him the same. Marhaban bil akh as-salih wa nabi as-salih. Welcome, O righteous brother and righteous Nabi, prophet. And so on, Yusuf a.s., and then Idris, and then Harun, and Musa, all the way to the 6th heaven. And the same thing, each prophet says the same thing. Marhaban bil akh as-salih wa nabi as-salih. Welcome, O righteous prophet, brother, first of all, and righteous prophet. And then finally, in the 7th heaven, Ibrahim a.s. meets him. Abu al-Anbiya is called, the father of prophets, the father of the prophets. Because he says the same thing, Marhaban bil ibn as-salih, welcome, O righteous son. Even though, Adam, we're all the sons of Adam, it makes sense why Adam said this. But Ibrahim is saying also to the prophet, Ibn as-salih, the righteous son and the righteous prophet. So it is true when we talk about Ibrahim a.s. and Abu al-Anbiya, right? The father of the prophets. Here they like to call them Abrahamic religions. That is part is true. What is not true is that they're not all equivalent. It isn't like you can choose this or that. We can all be the same, which is the goal of the Zionists and unfortunately what's happening in our Muslim countries with some of the leadership. That's not true. It's been passed one torch to the next. The true Tawheed, the true Iman, the true believers have to follow the Prophet ﷺ. Right? We do not deny the books, we do not deny the prophets, but there is a distinction. Right? And then Allah continues to describe, ثُمَّ دَنَا فَتَدَلَّى فَكَانَ قَابَ قَوْسَيْنِ أَوْ أَدْنَى فَأَوْحَى إِلَىٰ عَبْدِهِ مَا أَوْحَى. Then Allah says, beyond that point, there was a point that the Prophet ﷺ approached the veil of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that no other person, no other being was able to reach. And then Allah revealed to him what He revealed. And we'll talk a little bit about that. So just very briefly, of course. But some of the things I wanted to highlight today. First of all, what is our responsibility towards learning this? Like I said, we need to understand that this is symbolic, and we need to understand the lessons from the Isra Mi'raj and the importance of an Aqsa But what we should not do is turn this into, like I said, a cultural thing, where one time a year we get together and do things and make a speech, or maybe there's a nasheed or something. Because this is wallahi aqrab min al-bid'ah, as the ulama said. This is something that we didn't, the Prophet ﷺ did not do, the Sahaba did not do, right? So just a quick tangent here. That anything that you specify a time for, or an occasion for, or a reason for, or a place for, all these things have to be from the Sunnah. If they're not, then it's a bid'ah. And but understanding this lesson, implementing it, this is what we're asked to do. This is what we're asked to do. So what are some of the things we can take as lessons? First of all, it is remembering the glory of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah's power is limitless. Allah's power is limitless, meaning Allah can, with his choice and his decree, cause things to happen that break the laws of physics, that break the laws of Allah's place in this dunya, right? This is a clear example. We believe in it. We didn't see it, but we believe this happened. The Prophet traveled, cut a journey and we'll talk about it when he came back, when people didn't believe him. How could we talk about traveling in months? You did this in one night? So Allah was able to make him travel from one place to another one night. Now today we say, well, that's easy. Well, we can do something similar now with airplanes, right? But then Allah did something else, took him up to the seventh heaven. And we believe that's something that physically we cannot probably, without any sort of vehicle, we can't imagine. So Allah is capable of doing these things, and similarly, capable of granting victory to a small group or a very large group. Capable of doing all these things. We can't always, our problem sometimes as Muslims is we want to just relate everything to like the world around us in terms of Allah's place. And that's what the non-believers do. But we believe in the power and might of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well. Right? Secondly, the takreem, the honoring of the Prophet as we mentioned, how the prophets rose up and all the Anbiya, starting from Adam to Ibrahim, made salam to him, and they could not continue with him. And of course, and also the Prophet led them in Salat on the Masjid al-Aqsa before going up on the journey, on the night journey, on the Isra, and the Mi'raj. And so, more clearly, Allah says this in the Quran. Again, going back to this equivalence of faith and all these things, this is not what our aqidah. Allah tells us that He took a covenant from the prophets. What does that mean? Allah, with the Rusul, He told them what was going to happen. He took a word of honor or a covenant from them. Allah says, وَإِذْ أَخَذَ اللَّهُ مِيثَاقَ النَّبِيِّينَ. Allah took a covenant of the prophets. لَمَا آتَيْتُكُم مِّن كِتَابٍ وَحِكْمَةٍ. I've given you kitab, the book, and I've given you the hikmah, the justice, the knowledge, the wisdom, right? Then what? ثُمَّ جَاءَكُمْ رَسُولٌ. Then there will come a Rasul, right? مُصَدِّقٌ لِمَا مَعَكُمْ. He will not deny what you came with, right? We do not deny that those books and deny those faiths. لِمَا مَعَكُمْ لَا تُؤْمِنُنَّ بِهِ وَلَا تَنْصُرُنَّهُ. That Allah asked His prophets, you will believe in Him, and you will support Him. You will support Him. You will support Him. قال أقررتم وأخذتم على ذلكم إصري قالوا أقررنا قال فاشهدوا وأنا معكم من الشاهدين. Allah says then, take a solemn, honor or solemn covenant, and I am a witness of this. So again, what does that mean? The prophets, they all took this solemn oath with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that they, Muhammad will come, we will support him. There's no, he is the ultimate prophet, this is the ultimate message. So there's no debate about Quds should be, or Masjid al-Aqsa is a place where multiple religions should worship in different ways. This is something that, again, this is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He gave that blessing to that land. The message is the same. Those who are on that right message, that is the land. Now we don't prevent others from living. That's, again, under the whole time of the Khilafah, the Muslims lived in peace with the Jews and the Christians. That's not something this is actually part of our, how our justice is. But from a faith perspective, it's clear. It's clear. قولوا قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وبعد. Brothers, if you make room for your brothers at the door, if you just can fill any gaps forward, jazakumullah khairan. There's brothers that are waiting. Barakallahu feek. Jazakumullah khair. A few other quick things to note about the Isra and Mi'raj is that how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala presents it in the Quran. And I intentionally didn't go into all these because we don't have time as well. But Allah in the Quran, there's one long thing, but Allah in the Quran mentions it very briefly, without going into the specific details of how exactly the Prophet traveled, what was the method that he was able to cut these vast distances in short time, and so on and so forth. And so, And the Sahaba understood this as well, right? They didn't question the little details of curiosity. They understood we need to understand the message and what it means to us and how we implement it. And that is what we should take as a learning from the Isra wal Mi'raj, right? It was a test of faith for those people back then, because some people started to question their faith after they heard the story the next day. Not people like Abu Bakr. Not people like Abu Bakr, right? Abu Bakr was told about the story, said, I believe when the mushrikeen, they came and told him about this, said, hey, we found it now. This is something you're not going to believe. So your Sahib says, he did this and that in one night. He says, if he said it, I believe it. Simple. I believe more than that the Wahy comes and is revealed to him every day. We as Muslims believe that Allah revealed Quran through Jibreel to the Prophet ﷺ. We're 23 years. Why is it hard for us to believe that the Prophet, Allah is able to give us victory when we're a small, weak group if we do the right things? Shouldn't we? But do we really believe this now? This is where our faith has been weakened. But the Sahaba, they understood this. They weren't concerned about how is a buraq, what does it look like. This is unfortunately what we concern ourselves with, versus the lessons that Allah is teaching us from these stories. Okay? And then we cannot talk about the significance of Al-Isra wal Mi'raj and the significance of Al-Masjid al-Aqsa without mentioning one important thing that kind of connects both of them. Which again comes back to our ibadah, our worship, our aqidah, our faith, all these things. Our connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this is as-salah, prayer. As-salah, as we all know, it is the first thing we'll be questioned about on the Day of Judgment, and if it is good, then it can also be good. How was salah revealed to the Prophet? How was the Prophet commanded to commit salah? How was he given this salah? It wasn't through revelation when the Prophet was in Mecca or Medina. It wasn't like that. It was at this point where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought the Prophet ﷺ to that ultimate point where no other human being or creature could reach. And that is what Allah gave the Prophet that command. That is what Allah gave us that masuliyah, that responsibility. That is what Allah gave us that takreem. That is what Allah gave us that honor. That is what Allah gave us that vehicle to strengthen our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and attain all these other things. But again, as a nation, as an ummah, we've belittled all these things, and then we question why this is happening to us as an ummah and why we have in reality become so insignificant. We need to strengthen ourselves again. Salah was prescribed back up there. That is the importance of salah. That is it. And, of course, Al-Masjid al-Aqsa was the first of the two qiblas. It is the first of our qiblas. It is the first of the qiblas of the Muslims, right? Before the qibla became Mecca. And also, may Allah grant victory and freedom and tahrir for Masjid al-Aqsa so we can visit it all without any sort of restrictions. Praying in the Masjid al-Aqsa also has a significance as narrated in the hadith, is in Tabarani, and others that the Prophet ﷺ said that as-salat in the Masjid al-Haram bi-mi'ati alf salat. The prayer in the Masjid al-Haram in Mecca is equivalent to 100,000 prayers, right? Was-salat fi masjidi, in the Masjid al-Nabawi, the prayer is worth 1,000 alf salat. Was-salat fi Bayt al-Maqdis bi 500 salat. And praying in the Bayt al-Maqdis is worth or equivalent to 500 prayers outside of it. So, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all in our lifetimes the opportunity to go there. Some of us, alhamdulillah, have been able to, under the current conditions, still to visit. But may Allah, give all of us the ability to go pray there free. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose this land, He chose to give the barakah, He chose Al-Masjid al-Aqsa. We were the protectors of it. Now that's what we need to retain, recover. The rightful ownership and protection of the Masjid al-Aqsa. This is something that, just to wrap up, it has to be front and center for us as Muslims. It's a dual thing, right? It's not just about land, which is very important, but that's where the other people, that's what they see. And Muslims, we see both, right? Because then, like I said, there's other land, they can move on to another land, right? Just like they put the Zionists there. No, it's not like that. This is rightful land of the Muslims, and may Allah, grant victory to our brothers and sisters in Gaza. Don't ever forget them in your dua constantly. They're still constantly struggling. SubhanAllah, it's very hard to think about what's going on and talk about the khutbah and people. We need to keep remembering, right? This is the least we can do. The least we can do. Keep them in your dua. Help, financially support the organization that will provide aid. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, free them and remove the suffering from all our brothers and sisters everywhere around the world. Ya Allah, اغفر لنا وارحمنا وعافنا واعف عنا. اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا وإسرافنا في أمرنا وتقبل منا صلاتنا وصيامنا وقيامنا. اللهم اغفر لنا وارحمنا. اللهم ثبتنا على صراطك المستقيم. اللهم انصر اخواننا المستضعفين في كل مكان. اللهم انصر اخواننا المستضعفين في كل مكان. اللهم انصر اخواننا المستضعفين في فلسطين وفي غزة. اللهم ارفع عنهم البلاء. اللهم ارفع عنهم الظلم. اللهم ارحم موتاهم واشف مرضاهم وداوي جرحاهم، اللهم تقبل شهداءهم، اللهم انصرهم نصرا عزيزا مؤزرا، اللهم انصرهم نصرا عزيزا مؤزرا، اللهم دمر أعداءهم وأعدائك أعداء الدين، اللهم اجعل كيدهم في نحورهم واجعل تدبيرهم تدميرا عليهم، وارنا فيهم عجائب قدرتك إنك على ذلك قدير. وصل اللهم وسلم وبارك على عبدك ورسولك محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين، وأقم الصلاة.